Another hugely impactful album on American culture, I think, was Nevermind by Nirvana. This record was released in 1991 to huge success around the nation. People remember this record to this day as one of a kind of rock revolution in the early 90s. Um, Nevermind changed rock into an accessible and relatable genre where it was okay to write about your emotions and feelings. Kurt Cobain's lyrics throughout the record are extremely introspective. The weight of his depression and sadness like transcended musical genres and connected with generations still to this day. I think songs like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and "Come as You Are" and "In Bloom" have been influences for countless amount of artists to come after the album, like bands such as like Korn or Slipknot, um, who are huge bands now and were throughout the 2000s, would not have been as big without Nevermind being released by Nirvana in the early 90s. In a way, Nevermind made counterculture like cool in American society. It was cool to be different. Being different became popular. People were writing music in a more expressive, emotional, and intense manner now after the album. This album also lives on due to like the tragic life and death of the lead singer Kurt Cobain, who was a large part of writing the musical arrangements for the songs as well. And most people know about his story and his problems with drugs and his tragic death, early death. So it that that history kind of is a huge part of the impact of this album. This album changed indie music, whether it be rock, grunge, or even pop, forever. The standard for quality of music was raised substantially because people started expecting to feel the type of emotions that Nevermind produces when you listen to it. And I think it's remarkable how I feel connected to these songs, even though it's been nearly 30 years since their release. And so much has changed in 30 years in America, but this album is still relevant. And Nirvana is often cited as a main influence for grunge and alternate rock bands to this day. A lot of mainstream rock on the radio today sounds very similar to this album. Its effect on America is reflected in its like meteoric rise to the top of the charts. Nevermind is one of the 5 top-selling albums in American history, probably most because of its quality and relevance to American society in the early 90s and all the way through to today. For your second question, I think, well, my favorite live performance by a band was actually just last Friday, so it's been like a week. And I went to see a hardcore metal band, Knocked Loose, in Philly. And I'm still kind of recovering a week later. The energy and intensity of their music was infectious and unforgettable. The environment of the crowd, while very intimidating with all these metal guys, was of community and empathy. Everyone was looking out for each other and making sure everyone was safe in the mosh pit. Whenever someone got hurt or fell, others would rush over to make sure they were okay. And this was because the band Knock Loose, created an environment where everyone was nice. Knock Loose lead singer took time to make a really impactful speech in the middle of the show. And he spoke about inclusivity and kindness. He talked about his struggles with depression and how music can help people cope with their issues. He also took time to preach about how important it is today for people to be accepting of minorities in America. Additionally, he spoke out against the issues of organized religions and their contradictions. This band's not anti-religious, but they're not religious at all. And a lot of their fans are also not religious. So this is a place to be non-religious and not be judged by it, because the bands you're listening to aren't preaching religion either. And at the end of his speech, he said that all Knocked Loose concerts are accepting of all people, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, or even if they had documentation or not. Talking about immigrants. And I thought that was really awesome for the band to take time to make everyone feel included, because this might be one of the only places some people feel included, even if it is only just for a few hours. The venue was a place of openness and acceptance, even if many of the people there would be rejected by normal society by their looks, by them, all their tattoos or piercings or their black clothing. That many people in a regular society just judge right away. The passion that the band played with was undeniable, and they performed their set like perfectly, even though like metal music is very, very hard to play live due to its speed and intensity. They just played a really tight set. And I thought it was also really cool that the band had 3 kids in high school in the Philly area perform parts of their songs. These teens were really talented, and this opportunity gave them a chance to see how it is to perform in front of thousands of people, and the crowd really loved them. It was really cool to see these like kids go up on stage and like really excel in front of everyone. And by the end of the concert, I was exhausted, and everyone else was, because of the nonstop moving for hours and hours. There's no seats at these concerts, and you're not going to be standing still either, because you're getting pushed around. You have to hold your ground. And as an introvert, this concert was a way for me to break out of my shell, if only for a night. And I think that's a really cool thing that live music can do for people, regardless of the genre, is that it can, be a place of escapism, or to be something else for just a little bit, and to not feel judged about being that way for a little bit, because as an introvert you can feel self-conscious of yourself in your environment, and so it's cool to like break out of that for a little bit and just open up and be different for a little while.